In just 10 years, France went from an absolute monarchy to a republic, then to a dictatorship. Kings lost their heads, entire social classes were destroyed, hundreds of thousands died, and the shockwaves changed the world forever. This is the French Revolution, the decade that transformed human history. And we're covering it in 10 minutes. Let's go. France, 1789. On paper, it's the most powerful nation in Europe. In reality, it's on the verge of collapse. The problem starts at the top. King Louis XVI is weak, indecisive, and more interested in making locks as a hobby than actually ruling. His wife, Marie Antoinette, is spending massive amounts on fashion and parties while the country drowns in debt. And that debt is enormous. France bankrupted itself, helping America fight for independence. Ironic, considering what's about to happen. The government is broke. But here is the catch. The people who have all the money, the nobles and the clergy, don't pay taxes. Zero. Nothing. Who does pay? Everyone else. The third estate, that's 98% of the population. Peasants, workers, and the growing middle class called the bourgeoisie. They're taxed into poverty while aristocrats throw lavish parties. Then, disaster strikes. Bad harvests lead to bread shortages. Bread prices skyrocket. In Paris, people are spending 88% of their income just on bread. They're starving while the nobility feast. The king needs money desperately, so he does something that hasn't been done in 175 years. He calls the Estates General, an assembly representing all three estates. It's supposed to be a formality. Instead, it becomes the spark that lights the fuse. May 1789, the Estates General meets at Versailles. Immediately, there's a problem. Each estate gets one vote, meaning the clergy and nobility can outvote the commoners 2-1 every time. The third estate says, that's not fair. We represent 98% of France. We should vote by head count. The king refuses. So the third estate does something revolutionary, literally. They break away, declare themselves the National Assembly, and swear the tennis court oath. They won't disband until France has a constitution. Rumors spread that troops are coming to wrest the assembly. Paris panics. July 14, 1789. An angry mob storms the Bastille, a medieval fortress that symbolizes royal tyranny. They're looking for weapons and gunpowder. After hours of fighting, the defenders surrender. The crowd beheads the governor and parades his head on a pike through Paris. The revolution has begun, and it's violent. Revolts spread across France. Peasants attack noble estates, burning documents that prove their debts. It's called the Great Fear. The National Assembly responds with the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, declaring all men equal, with rights to liberty, property, and security. In October, a mob of thousands of women marches to Versailles demanding bread. They storm the palace and force the royal family back to Paris. The king is now a prisoner in his own capital. For 2 years, there's an uneasy balance. France becomes a constitutional monarchy. Some revolutionaries think that's enough. Others want to go further. In June 1791, Louis tries to escape. He's caught and brought back to Paris in humiliation. Any trust in the king evaporates. Meanwhile, the rest of Europe is terrified. Austria and Prussia issue a declaration supporting Louis. France sees this as a threat and declares war. The war goes badly. Revolutionary leaders panic and blame traitors. August 1792, a mob storms the Tuileries Palace and massacres the king's Swiss guards. The royal family is arrested. The monarchy is abolished. France becomes a republic. Then things get really dark. A radical group called the Jacobins, led by Maximilien Robespierre, takes control. They're willing to do anything to protect the revolution. In January 1793, Louis XVI is put on trial for treason. The verdict is death. On January 21st, the former king is executed by guillotine. His last words are cut off by drums rolling. Marie Antoinette follows him to the guillotine 9 months later. France is now at war with almost every major European power. Inside the country, civil war erupts. Welcome to the Reign of Terror, one of history's bloodiest chapters. The Committee of Public Safety, dominated by Robespierre, assumes dictatorial powers. Their logic is chilling. The revolution is in danger, so anyone who threatens it must die. And the definition of threatening the revolution keeps expanding. Revolutionary tribunals are set up. Trials are a joke, guilty verdicts are predetermined. The guillotine works overtime. Who dies? At first, it's obvious enemies, nobles, priests, royalists. Then it's anyone who criticizes the government. Then it's people who aren't enthusiastic enough, moderates who think things have gone too far, guillotine. Radicals who want things to go further, guillotine. Even revolutionaries aren't safe from the revolution. The government tries to remake French society entirely. They create a new calendar and attempt to replace Christianity with the cult of reason. Somewhere between 16,000 and 40,000 people are officially executed. Hundreds of thousands more die. But here's the thing about terror. Eventually, the revolutionaries turn on each other. Robespierre makes a fatal mistake. He keeps making vague threats about more traitors. Every member of the convention starts thinking, am I next? On July 27, 1794, the convention votes to arrest Robespierre. The next day, he's guillotined without trial. The terror is over. After the terror, France is exhausted. A new government called the Directory takes control. It's weak, corrupt, and ineffective. Meanwhile, on the battlefields, a young artillery officer named Napoleon Bonaparte is winning impossible victories. He becomes the most popular man in France. The Directory sees him as a threat and sends him to conquer Egypt. He wins battles but gets trapped. When he hears France is in crisis again, he abandons his army and sails home. On November 9, 1799, Napoleon stages a coup. The Directory is dissolved. A new government is formed, the Consulate, with Napoleon as first consul. Within a few years, he'll crown himself emperor. The revolution that began by executing a king ends with creating a new one. So what did 10 years of revolution actually achieve? First, the end of feudalism in France. The old system of aristocratic privilege died permanently. Second, the spread of revolutionary ideas. Liberty, equality, fraternity. The revolutionary slogan inspired movements across Europe and eventually the world. The idea that governments derive their power from the people became unstoppable. Third, nationalism. The revolution created the modern concept of a nation-state where citizens, not subjects, share a common identity. Fourth, political concepts we still use today. Left wing and right wing come from where people sat in the Revolutionary Assembly. The metric system, revolutionary France. But the revolution also proved how quickly idealism can turn to violence. It showed how easily a movement for freedom can become a tyranny in freedom's name. The French Revolution was messy, bloody, and contradictory. It was a liberation and a nightmare. It didn't create a perfect society, it created the modern world, with all its possibilities and all its dangers. And it all happened in just 10 years. That's the French Revolution, from the storming of the Bastille to Napoleon's rise, in 10 minutes. If you want more revolutionary content, we've covered the American Revolution and we're working on the Russian Revolution next. Which historical event should we tackle in 10 minutes? Drop your suggestions in the comments. If this helped you understand one of history's most complex events, hit that like button and subscribe for more history content every week. Thanks for watching.